One problem with web programming is the web is stateless. That means that a web server does not remember that request 1 came from the same client as request 2 or request 3 or request 4. It just gets requests and it sends responses back to those requests. But if you have an online shop, for instance, and on one page somebody orders or specifies what they want, the products that they want, and then you click and go to another page on your website, which is the checkout, then you want to remember what they ordered, of course. And the way you do that is with sessions. Let me give you a quick example of how that works. I'll create a new page, not in QTools, but in my website test, and I'll call it sessions 1. So let's say we have an array of products that the user has chosen. Here's our product numbers, for instance. He bought a CD and a DVD. They each have these numbers to identify them, of course, and he bought a book. So now what we're going to do is we're going to save this into a session variable called products. So now we not only have a variable products, but we have a session variable, which is the same thing. And we're going to say here that since he has already chosen this, he can now go to, we're going to call it sessions 2, but we're going to tell the user that it is go to the checkout, for instance. So now we have a little link. Now at sessions 2, at our checkout page, what are we going to do? Sessions 2. Well, we're going to say products equals what's in the session. And that's how we pass it from page to page. So now we have this array back, which is very, very useful. And let's tell the user what he chose to buy on the other page. So the following is in your shopping cart, for instance. And let me do a for each here. Products. Okay, products. So now I have a product in here, and I'm going to simply echo it out. I'll put it like this, product. Okay. So now we have that, and of course we need our UL tags, open, close, UL tag. Okay, that should be fine. Now, that should work, right? Well, it should work. Let's see. Local cookies, sessions 1. Okay, so go to checkout. So the array is saved. Go to checkout. There's nothing in our shopping cart. Why is that? Probably the number one error when using sessions. You have to write session start at the beginning of each page that uses sessions to tell PHP that the session should indeed start. And after we do that, we go back, reload the page, go to checkout, and there are all of our products that we chose from the other page. So this is a very easy way to save state between the pages on your website. Now, where is all this information being saved? Let's go take a look here. If you look in your XAMPP Lite where you installed PHP, Apache, etc., you will find a little folder called temp. If you go in temp, you'll see all kinds of sessions. Now these are sessions that this browser, or that browsers on this computer, have created. And to find out which session we're in, we can go back here to our code. Session 1 and say echo session ID, for instance. Let me put an HR here so we can see it easily. So go back here, go to session 1, and we see here that our session is called 9FC17. So let's find, it's 9FC17. So we double click on that, look at it in Notepad, and we see that we can find the data that we saved in the session. So you might be thinking, oh, well, that's great. I'll use sessions, should have no problem. But what if cookies are turned off? And that's a very good realization, because if we do turn cookies off, that's off except cookies. And we go back to our first page here and we go to the checkout. Indeed, our session does not work. So lesson learned is sessions depend on cookies, but the good thing is that the people who produced PHP thought of an alternative. And let me show you what that alternative is. Basically, it puts this session ID automatically in the URL so that when you go from page to page, that ID is sent so that without cookies, the server can read this ID in from the URL and continue the session and look those variables up on the next page in the temp directory to get the information that was saved in the session so that you have that state on each page. How can you turn this on? Well, you'll have to go into your directory XAMPP, go into Apache, bin, and you'll find the file php.ini. Search for session dot, for instance. And you'll have here the option session use cookies. Yes means, or 1 means yes. Change it to 0. And then search for use trans, session use trans SID. Turn that on and save. Restart your XAMPP. XAMPP restart. So once it's restarted, we're back here. Reload now. Let's make sure we still have our cookies off. No allow here. Very good. We will click here. And amazingly, without cookies, we have passed the session ID automatically via the URL and maintained our state from page to page. So this is a very easy way to make sure that your sessions work on your site. There's only one thing that you should consider, and that is that, for instance, if I were to bookmark this URL and then somebody were to find the bookmark later and pasted it into another browser and went to this page, they would also see what products I ordered. Or if the session lasted that long, usually it's only like about 20 minutes or so, you can set that in the php.ini. But if you're working with, for instance, if you're typing in credit card numbers and that kind of thing, or high sensitive data, you would want to consider not using this and only using cookies, for instance, just to make your site more secure. But in any case, you see you have lots of options and that sessions and cookies are fairly easy to work with in PHP.